And we should be live. Ahoy. Ladies and
Ahoy!
gentlemen, welcome. Ahoy. Welcome back to another episode of Talk the Plank, the United States Pirate Party's #1 podcast in the United States. I am your host, Jolly Mitch, captain of the United States Pirate Party, captain of the Illinois Pirate Party, Chicagoland Pirate Party, and friend of the show. Today, our friend is Jacob Anders. Jacob is running for Congress, United States Congress in the great state of Tennessee, and he's dressed for the occasion. So
Oh,
Jacob, I could lay out the red carpet for you. I just want to allow you to introduce yourself, give yourself the elevator pitch. You have 30 seconds. Floor is yours. You don't yet take as long as you want. You have more than 30 seconds.
well, first of all, this eye patch, it's from a corneal scratch from my dog. We let the dog sleep in the bed, and I woke up to a pain worse than a kidney stone, getting your eye scratched. It's one of the worst things ever. But this hat here, I've owned this since high school. I literally fished it out of the garage. So I was like, Pirate Party, let me go see if I still have it. And I did. Oh man. But anyway, I'm running as an independent for Congress. I've been involved with Ron Paul, Barack Obama, Bernie Sanders, and Andrew Yang's presidential campaigns. I always try to back people that try to push the establishment in a different way, try to move the Overton window into a more, freedom. They say like authoritarian and libertarian are on the political scales, and I'm definitely on the libertarian left. I promote leftist policies, but I got to stay with freedom because, I mean, we've had this drug war since 1970. We've had censorship since the Patriot Act, which I want to repeal. I mean, there's so much that's gone wrong with our nation. I mean, I was born in 91. I'm a 90s kid. I grew up with the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, and even as a child, I was like, this just seems wrong. Like we went to World War I and World War II to stop, German imperialism and Japanese imperialism in World War II. Like we actually had a reason to fight. I was like, this just seems like another Vietnam, and I stayed out of politics for myself. I started helping other candidates like Michelle Lujan Grisham out in New Mexico, Doug Jones of Alabama. And then Trump declared the war on Iran. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get the signatures because in Tennessee, all you need is 25 signatures to get on the ballot compared to other states where it's like, thousands of dollars just to be on the ballot. And when Trump declared the Iran war, I was like, okay, there's a girl already running in the Democratic primary. I will also run, but I'll just be non-apologetically anti-imperialism, anti-Israel, and try to push Tennessee and the anti-war vote out. Get them, or not out of there, but like out to vote. And then I had Tennessee's state has a law that for the Republican and Democrat parties that there's like a bona fide rule where you have to vote in a certain number of 3 out of 5 primaries previously, or they can kick you off the ballot. And then there's a whole appeal process that takes place within 48 hours that you have to file. And it's just this giant corruption thing. They apparently let people on that they want to let on with an appeal, and they let a lot of people, they keep a lot of people off when they file the appeal. It happened to me and Elizabeth Stevens, who is a U.S. military veteran and a black woman that has supported the Democratic Party for a long time. And they're like, oh, well, you hadn't voted in one of our primaries since 2020, and 2020 is when things were competitive. People wanted to show up. So they kicked both of us off. We filed a lawsuit. It's still up in the air. They ran out the clock to keep us off the ballot. We're trying to make sure it gets changed so that people can stay on the ballot when they get those 25 signatures, like the law was before 2020. Before 2020, that's all you needed. After that, the two main parties can kick you off the ballot. I mean, I could go on and on about how corrupt Tennessee is, but that's how I'm an independent now. They redistricted Tennessee. They split Memphis and Nashville into thirds so they could eliminate the Democratic vote. And of course, if you're a Democrat in Memphis or Nashville and you're consolidating your Democratic voters, I mean, taking that to a different city halfway across the state, it's nuts. But that's how I got back on the ballot as an independent. And Elizabeth Stevens chose to stay out and keep fighting the corruption.
Well, we're glad you didn't let the two-party system corruption keep you out of it. It rocks that you were able to get onto the ballot. You are on the ballot as an independent.
Yes, I will be on the ballot in November as an independent. That's part of why I've been able to spend July not knocking on doors, doing a lot of online stuff. To anyone that doesn't know, the southeast of the United States has the same climate as some of the jungles of Africa. So just going outside makes you sweat.
F. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we lost the live stream. We did not.
Yeah, you cut out a couple times, but I waited.
Yeah, I got a little worried there, but no, we are all good. No, I don't think people understand what a hard thing it is to actually appear on the ballot as an independent, as someone that's not a part of the two-party system. And then even if you're trying to go within the system, the amount of money that flows into it's insane, and the amount of corruption to keep other outsiders off the ballot's insane. You know, it's genuinely, I've told people that when it seems like the Democratic Party is fighting like the DSA socialists harder than they fight the Republicans, that's because if they win the election, the general election against the Republicans, they have power. If they lose the general election against the Republicans, they get to send out those mailers that say, "Send me $5. We need to beat the Republicans." But if they lose to the DSA in the primary, they get nothing. And they can't have that. And it takes a lot to say, I've seen that up close and personal. I've seen the corruption and the stink of the two-party system before my eyes, and I'm still going to fight it. And in spite of you people, I'm going to get onto the ballot as an independent, which right on. That's awesome. I mean, truly, that's no small feat. And Tennessee at 25 signatures, you've said it. That is a much smaller margin to get ballot access. But with that being said, that is a barrier that which we can look to and point to and say, well, look how many signatures they need. Why do we need so many?
Yeah.
So
And I just want anyone to know that wants to run independent. It's still 25 signatures. The major parties cannot kick you off the ballot if you are independent. But Tennessee will not print a third party's name next to your name unless you get 2.5% of that area's gubernatorial vote, the last gubernatorial governmental vote. So if I wanted to run as the Pirate Party in Tennessee, I would have to get 2.5% of the signatures in all of the counties that voted in the last governor's election, and they have to be verified signatures. If somebody has moved, if they write the wrong address, if their handwriting is bad, that signature doesn't count. So to get on the ballot for Tennessee, they recommend 40 to 50 signatures because a lot of people, they don't know their stuff, and a lot of them aren't registered to vote, even though they think they are. And we can get into all of that with how there's that law that needs to be repealed that purges voter registration lists. It's like, oh, you haven't voted in X number of years? Okay, we're just going to remove you from the list. Like, who asked for that?
no one asked for this. But again, it feels like no one's asking for a lot of the things that they're trying to push through, which includes things like the flock cameras, the digital ID, the upping of the surveillance state as we've seen, which I know is an issue that you have been at least you put on your website, which, by the way, I will make sure to link your website in the description of this live stream. So we will have your campaign website in your episode, which I haven't done that yet. I'll be sure to do that by the stream's end. Uh, but talk to me about that. So obviously we in the Pirate Party know how important it is to fight against the surveillance state and protect our Fourth Amendment rights. But what is it that drove you? How deeply did this drive you, I should say, in your campaign?
The flock cameras specifically.
I guess the rise of the surveillance state in general, just in terms of just the violations we've seen, because this goes far back as the Patriot Act, if not even further than that.
Okay, yeah. When I first supported Ron Paul as a teenager and pretty much joined the Libertarian Party, even though he was running for a Republican primary at the time, I was like, this guy's libertarian. That's what I want. The Patriot Act that was enacted under George Bush when I was a young boy, the more I read about it, the more I hated it. I was like, so apparently the government can just do warrantless spying, which is against the Constitution, but because they wrote it in this legislation, it's okay. And I'm not sure what the Supreme Court challenges were at the time. If you did challenge the Patriot Act back then, they were like, oh, you're a bad American. You're not a patriot. You don't care about America. You must be a communist or you're a secret Muslim. It's like, no. And, and for a lot of people, it was just like, what is this country becoming? Because before the 2000s, we were in competition with the USSR, Soviet Russia, to prove that, hey, we're more free. We do better things for minorities. We treat people better. We don't surveil and bug our people and listen in on them. That's what communists do. That was a whole line of rhetoric for a long time. And then 9/11 happens, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, I guess if you don't have anything to hide, what's wrong with being surveilled? And it's like, no. Like our founders didn't even know what technology was going to be invented. And they were like, hey, not a good idea. And, moving forward to today's flock cameras, that is an issue that is uniting the left, the right, and the center. Everyone hates flock cameras. There are Facebook groups, multiple Facebook groups that combine people from all walks of life. And they're just like, man, I wish I could cut it down. I wish I could do this. And they're like, hey, man, don't throw this at a flock camera because that could really mess it up. Wink, wink. So, for the purposes of this interview, I must say, do not damage a flock camera. You can end up in big trouble for that. But some people figured out if you can just put up cardboard signs and nail them to the telephone post or the wooden posts they're nailed up to, and you can be like, hey, this thing is surveilling your everything you do, and they support XYZ. You can say whatever you want. It's freedom of speech when you nail something up to a lamppost. But property damage over $1,000 can get you in big trouble unless you're a rich guy or people. Don't mess with that. But putting up signs, letting people know, hey, this is what this is. This is what it does. That's legal. And maybe
Yes.
somebody with more money, more resources, or you get in touch with your local representatives. Maybe you can get rid of them, remove the funding.
Yes, and you know what? For number one, even if you have the money, don't vandalize the flock cameras. The United States Pirate Party nor Jacob Anders is advocating for this legally, explicitly. Yes, we're not. Don't do that. Second, 100%. I just announced the last few meetings that I was running for my village trustee board on the basis of trying to cancel our contract with Flock. I asked for a Freedom of Information Act on the contract. Come to find out that our village is paying Flock $25,000 a year for 10 cameras, and they get to pick where the cameras go. and
Oh, man.
we're locked in for a 2-year deal every time it renews, and it automatically renews.
Do you believe your representatives knew what they were getting into, or were they just sold a bunch of lies and they were like, oh, it's for safety? Okay, man, sure.
You know, that's the thing with our elected officials is genuinely it's hard to tell sometimes. You don't know if they're well-meaning, well-intended, or if they got a big donation from Flock Safety and decided, well, I guess I will pass this legislation. So I don't know who to blame personally, and I am not. I can't point the finger at anyone in particular on the board of trustees, but I know when you have municipalities, especially in Illinois, for example, where we had, I think it was Yorkville, Illinois, and I might be wrong on that one, but I think it was Yorkville where the village showed up. 200 people showed up in person and like Zoom call to protest a data center and the flock cameras and it may have just been the data center but uh, the village board after I think they went to 1 a.m. at a 7 p.m. meeting. And after they heard everyone in the municipality say, we don't want this, we don't want this, they unanimously passed the building of it. Because I'm sure every single person got a fat donation from whoever's building that data center. And it comes to the point where you don't want to believe that this is just an issue where every major politician, every politician in general is bought out. But one way to fight that is to be the politician that isn't getting bought out. You can say it's going to be hard because they have endless resources to spend against you, but you have that opportunity to be the real person that says, hang on, I speak for my neighbors here and none of us want this. Because truthfully, if not you, then who? That said, it is you. You are the one who decided that they want to run for Congress. So let me ask you, what is it about the United States Congress specifically that you decide to give this office a go?
Well, like I said earlier, it was the Iran war. When I saw that happen, I was like, oh, no, 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 no. These guys don't get it. If they actually go through with a ground invasion of Iran, that's Afghanistan on steroids. Like, I think it's like, what, 80% of the country of Iran is mountains. So I guess good thing the advisors and generals were able to advise Mr. Trump not to invade Iran. It's like, hey, that's not going to work. And then they went to like a bombing campaign, naval campaign, just like, what are they fighting for? What do they hope to get? And as we've seen, every ceasefire gets violated by Israel. And then we get another ceasefire and Trump comes out like, oh, everything's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. They're working with us. They're working with us. So great, so big. And everything's going to be peaceful now. And it's like, all right, dude, stock market starts going back up. And then all of a sudden, we're back. The ceasefire is violated. Stock market goes back down. So part of me feels like, okay, this is a way for Donald Trump and his sons to play the stock market and make money because they know when ceasefires are about to be violated, when they're about to come back in effect. Just none of this makes sense. We've depleted our artillery shells, all of our stuff. I hate to say stuff, but all of our military hardware has been depleted on Iran. And people were like, hey, we could help Ukraine. We could sell them stuff. We could loan them stuff. You know, they're fighting for their freedom. And then we just blew everything on Iran. And so that was my call to get back into politics. But what originally got me into it was Ron Paul and Bernie Sanders. Ron Paul for ending the war on drugs. Even before I ever smoked marijuana, I was like, okay, my friends smoke it. They get goofy. They eat some food. They start wanting to watch TV. They pass out. It's whatever. Like, why are people going to jail over this? And then Bernie Sanders started running right when I became an adult. And when I became an adult, I started learning about healthcare, college tuition. And, I was lucky enough to go to school on a scholarship. It was free for me, but I think of other people that want to have a much more productive and meaningful life than me as a nurse or a doctor. And it's like, they have to go into debt to do something amazing that this country needs. Like, we're sending trillions and trillions of dollars overseas to other countries, to bomb other countries, to invade other countries. I mean, Bernie Sanders, I feel like, led a huge movement. And when the Democratic Party came down on him, restricted him, and pushed Hillary Clinton, I really believe that they just stepped on the backs and the throats of a movement. And then we got Joe Biden, which, is what it is. And then Kamala, 7 weeks to add an issues page to her website. Now we got Trump, and we're back to insane imperialism. And I just think our nation is crazy. And the incumbent I'm running against, Republican Scott DesJarlais, he votes with Trump over 90% of the time. He always votes pro-Israel. He always votes pro-war. Like I said, the whole reason I got into it is because, all right, I'll be the protest candidate. The person with money is probably going to win. And the more I ran, the more doors I knocked on in the spring, the more people were like, hey, I want you to win. Let's do this. And I was like, all right, let's go.
It's because that's the reason I ask again is because not often do people get so frustrated with the things that are happening that they say, I have to change the situation on the ground myself. So I ask because it's a very noble thing to be able to step back in and say, I don't trust anyone but myself to be able to do this, to be able to bring that change. And you are correct when you say, like, the person with money is probably going to win. It's one of those things where, opensecrets.com, where they show all the money, that's great. I'm glad we can see how we can follow the money, but unfortunately, it doesn't stop the flow of the money. And just because we know where it's coming from doesn't mean it makes it any better. We're still, any race where they're able to flow millions of dollars into a candidate, and what can you do in today's day and age but just watch it happen, raise awareness, and hope that citizens finally say, wait a minute, I can't be bought, my vote can't be bought. How do we convince them? How do you tell people don't fall for the charm of the dollar sign that is, it's bought. What's the word I'm looking for? It's paid in full, but they don't own it. It's not theirs. It's not authentic. How do you speak to the common man and say, stop voting for the two parties, vote for the independent, vote for the a new way of doing things?
Well, for Tennessee in particular, my story resonated with a lot of people when they found out the Tennessee Democratic Party wasn't going to let me run in their primary, even though I've voted Democrat pretty much since I was 18. I think a couple times I voted for the Green Party. And then Jill Stein became like anti-Ukraine, pro-Russia, and then in 2024, I was like, okay, Kamala, I'll give you a pity vote in my red state, to help you out in the popular vote. And somehow lost that to Trump. Sorry to keep going back to presidential, but for Tennessee, I think they say that about 40% of Tennesseans are independent. I think it's 40% that, 20% Democratic, and then the rest Republican. So I guess that's like 40, 40, 20. I know it's a little bit different than that, but that's pretty much what it is, with the independents actually being the most people in Tennessee, especially rural Tennessee, because while rural Tennessee does vote Republican, it's usually because the Democrats out here will run somebody super liberal, very beholden to coastal politics, like California, New York rhetoric. They don't use a lot of rhetoric that appeals to the people out here. With the redistricting, I now have part of Nashville in my district, so that's a bunch of liberal people, a lot of independents, very few Republicans. But I mean, you basically just okay. I'll tell you this. When I was running in the Democratic primary, I knocked on this guy's door. You know, he's got a long beard, probably like 50 or 60, and he's hearing about me, and he's like, "Okay, but what party?" And I was like, "Well, I'm running in the Democratic primary, but I'm gonna beat them and have my own thing." He's like, "Sorry, dude, I can't vote for a Democrat." That's the vibe in Tennessee, and part of the reason for that is because the National Democratic Party has abandoned Christianity. And a lot of these independents and more conservative people, they want to hear a Democrat like in the 80s and 90s be like, "Oh, well, I'm running on this platform because it's the right thing to do. Jesus would want this, God would want this. We're going to help people, bring people out of poverty." And we don't do that anymore. And a lot of independents and Republicans that used to vote Democrat back in the 90s, like for Phil Bredesen, they're like, "Yeah, that's part of the reason I left." Like the Democrats are just like, they're just all atheist and LGBTQ, and they don't care about me anymore. Not me specifically, but the voter. And so when I talk to them now, I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm independent. I got an orange sign. Go Vols, go Volunteers." A lot of them are Vols fans. Couple Vandy fans are like, "Hey, man, can you make a yard sign that's like black and gold for me?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll get on that. Just let me. I just splurged on the orange ones. Let me make a little bit of money back." But yeah, in Tennessee, the the Democratic Party, it's just the name is poison. Like you could be the coolest dude ever. Like I go up to these guys, I'm like, "Hey, I'm like a leftist libertarian. I believe in maximum freedom, but also helping people to the point that it makes sense." And down here, it's just like, "Nah, man, you got that D label on you. It's a no from me, dog."
Which again, it becomes an unfortunate thing where you have a two-party system. It rewards the two parties, but then one may be completely poison in the eyes of the voter, which suddenly makes the primary the real election for a lot of people. The Republican primary becomes the real election versus the Democrat versus Republican election. Well, it's the same way in Chicago. Whoever in Chicagoland, if someone wins the Democratic primary, typically that's who's going to win the election. You know, we know the results before November because we were watching the primary. Uh, and it's one of those things that how do you what we're looking at? I'm actually so envious. I can't help but think about how you said just 25 signatures will get you on the ballot as an independent. In Illinois, it is several thousand, like tens of thousands of signatures to be on the ballot as an independent or a third party. Which, excuse me, pardon me, minor party. I don't like the term third party. I don't know if I've ever explained that to well, if you've ever heard my explanation, my spiel. Uh, the term third party is conceding to the duopoly that there are supposed to be two parties. And when people say, well, we need a third party, they're not saying we want three-party system. They're saying we want more options. We want something else besides what we're getting from the main two parties. So I like the term minor parties because we are the ones that aren't in office, but we are just as politically involved in just as much political party as the major parties of the Democrats and Republicans. Every minor party plays its place in the democratic system, and I will not reduce us to being third players in a two-player game. That's not going to happen for me. Which, again, this is why it's important that not only third party, God, league, Jesus, excuse me. That's why it's important that not only minor parties candidates run, but also independent candidates run, which is why I am very excited to hear, as you said earlier, you are going to appear on the ballot as an independent. You are forging your own path and you are providing a genuine alternative to people who, might be tired of the Republicans but couldn't imagine voting for a Democrat. So it is. I applaud you for that. It's very well done. So let me then ask. Uh, you arrive. You pull off the miracle win. The miracle kid does it, and you're going to Washington D.C. Uh, what does it look like your first week in Congress? What are you looking to achieve almost immediately?
Well, unfortunately, I will be in the minority with the Democrats and whichever Republicans are trying to oppose the rest of Trump's agenda. I I'm not going to make any day 100 promises because there's just, I mean, we're in opposition to the Iran war. Every Republican that's against the Iran war has faced fierce primaries. Thomas Massey, for example, he had the APAC, the Israel ads that made AI videos of him with Alexandria Cortez, AOC, and Ilhan Omar going to a hotel room and holding hands and being like, "This man's having a three-way with these women." And they asked some voters, are like, "Hey, did you see this ad? Do you think it was real?" They're like, "Yeah, I saw it. Of course it's real. It was on TV." And it just blows my mind that that's where we're at now. Um, yeah, but yeah, I'm not going to make any promises that, oh yeah, in the first 100 days, first week, we're going to get this done, we're going to get that done. We can have another vote on the War Power Resolution Act, try to like limit what Trump can do with Israel when it involves the Middle East. Or if he tries to go after Greenland again, I think he's off the Greenland thing for right now. I think he's forgotten about that. Um, yeah, there is not I can get done from 2027 to 2028, but I can obstruct the bad legislation. I can try to force votes on good legislation, and I can expose what's going on. Because if Thomas Massey is going out, hopefully I can get in there.
Absolutely. Uh, and let me again love it because most would try to bullshit an answer, be like, "Oh, we're fighting as soon as I get, I'm putting down the law. I'm demanding a vote on this, whatever." You're saying I can't commit to nothing, and I said first week. You said first 100 days. I'm not committing to my plan. That I know what my agenda is, what I want to do, but I can't commit that this is what's going to happen. And you know it shouldn't be, but it is refreshing to hear a politician say, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know. I distinctly remember a debate, the Minnesota '98, was it when Ventura pulled the Miracle Kid upset? He gave a debate, and he answered, "I don't know," and the crowd applauded him. And that's one of those things that always sticks out to me, that I think people recognize honesty and would rather hear the honest "I don't know" than a bullshitted full answer. So again, thank you for not coming equipped with oh, I'm bringing it to them. Thank you for, or what's Haley Stevens saying? We're gonna sock it to him or something. Stick it to him. Sock it to me. Uh, anyways, that's Michigan. This is Tennessee. Speaking of which, uh, Tennessee. What is exactly the situation like for the congressman? You already said that your congressman that you're running up against, the incumbent, is a big Trump ally, votes about 90% of the time with him. So would you say is that from a new district? Is this going to be he's coming from an old district into a new one? How is this working? What I'm really trying to ask here is, do you think that this district is also a one that believes in 90% of what Trump says? Or do you think that this is just a hanger on of, well, we're not going to vote for the Democrat?
It's definitely a hanger on if we're not going to vote for the Democrat. When you talk to rural Tennessee conservatives and my opponent, Scott Desjardins, if he wins his primary, I mean, when you talk to conservatives, they're just kind of sick of him. But he's never had a really good challenge. He's had Thomas Davis, a military veteran, very serious guy, very military, veteran focused guy. He ran before. He'll get like the opposition vote. There's a Republican I've talked to running against him, Rocky Jones. He's a Air Force veteran, a firefighter. He's actually like a really funny, goofy guy. Like he seems like a guy that you'd have a beer with or you'd watch Family Guy with and laugh about it. Like I disagree with him a lot on like, ICE. I was going to say like our foreign policy, but he's actually come closer to me on foreign policy. I've watched his campaign evolve, and he's like, first he was like very MAGA, but the more he reads into stuff, the more his policy's like, actually, this is bad. I don't like this stuff, and I'm going to do this instead. So, and he's also been an alderman, which is a city council in Tennessee, of a city out here, and it makes me wonder if he's won political campaigns before and he has political instincts. Maybe he'll knock Scott Desjardins out of there, or Jarley. I always say it differently because sometimes I don't know if it's French or Spanish, but a lot of people want to see him gone. So when it comes to Trump, it's like 50-50. A lot of people down here are like, yeah, I'll support Trump no matter what. And then a lot of other people, once the Iran war happened and the gas prices happened, are like, hey, you said you were the peace candidate. You said things were going to be good. Are are did you lie to us? Like a lot of people are having that moment, and I kind of feel it with them because I supported Obama when he was like universal health care. We're hope and change. We're gonna end the wars, and then he got in there, and it was like, hey, we're still at war. All right, we're gonna reelect you. Okay, we're still in there, and the Obamacare, the American Health Care Act, is just like, apparently it was like Mitt Romney's plan in Massachusetts, a Republican light healthcare plan, when he was telling us universal health care. And then I do not remember in 2012 him using the bully pulpit to advocate for that. It's like he just kind of was like, hey, reelect me or else the other guys win. And that really disillusioned me with the Democratic Party. I mean, what was it? Either 10 or 11 countries that Obama bombed: Libya, Yemen, Somalia. I mean, I don't know. It hurts.
It's one of those things that between just Obama and Trump, I just know there's a lot of people who have felt for the first time perhaps in their lives what it genuinely feels like to be lied to by a politician you trusted. That you think this one's different. These promises will be kept, and instead, the bombing of people, innocent people at that hospitals and schools, from both administrations, including the third one that happened in the middle of them. The endless wars, and it's harrowing to think because it's happening from both sides. That the Democratic and Republican parties are going to continue to be the corporate parties that funnel wars and profit off of wars and continue the endless war machine. But it doesn't have to be this way because we have minor parties and independents trying our damnedest to come up and finally end this. Uh, those of you, if you're watching this at home, and I know everyone in the United States is right now, uh, you're tired of this, are you not? We genuinely have better options at hand, and don't let someone that has the ability to buy nice things fool you into think that their shiny candidate is better than the real one in front of you. So that said, Jacob, we are not the Democratic or Republican Party. We are the United States Pirate Party. So then I must ask, what brought you here? Why? What interested you in the Pirate Party? And by all means, the floor is yours. So whatever you wish to say and answer, by all means.
Quick question. Am I a member of the Pirate Party? Because when I first looked you guys up in March, it was like, here's our Discord. And I joined it and was like, okay. And then
Well,
recently, I think a couple nights ago, there was like sign our volunteer form. So I filled that out. So am I in?
so I guess this is how I would do the distinction. If you consider yourself a supporter of the Pirate Party, a volunteer of the Pirate Party, participating actively in the Pirate Party, whatever it be, you are a pirate, and I will not take away the distinction of being a pirate from you. And if you or anyone watching at home wishes to get more involved in the Pirate Party, the United States Pirate Party is always looking for Pirate National Committee representatives and more volunteers in every state. We're looking for 56 pirate parties by the end of it, and there's never going to be an end of it. And that is a sick hat, by the way. But I do wish I return to the question: what did bring you to the United States Pirate Party?
Well, I was Googling minor parties or the forbidden number 3 word you don't want to talk about. And it was like, hey, this is the Pirate Party. And I'm like, okay, so what? They're like, you can pirate movies, pirate video games like I was doing as a teenager. It was like, no. They actually stand for like civil liberties, patent laws, copyright laws. It sides with you on the drug war. It sides with you on the Patriot. I'm like, okay, so these guys are like centrist libertarians, not quite left libertarian, but just kind of like, give me liberty. Don't be corrupt. Stop doing things we hate. Do what the people want. And I was like, okay, let's reach out.
Well, right on, good read, and yes, civil libertarian, techno progressive, however you want to cut it. I usually just label it as pirate. And I'm proud of it, by the way. I am proud to call myself pirate. I'm proud to be captain of the United States Pirate Party. And I'm going to look forward to having you join us for the next Pirate National Committee meeting on July 26th of 2026. Folks, if you are interested in tuning in for that meeting, which will be the meeting in which we decide whether or not to endorse, wink, we will be voting on that. We will have our normal meeting as scheduled, and then we will go into discussion. This episode allows Jacob to pitch his campaign and allows all our pirate supporters to get to know him before we actually have said meeting. So we are looking forward to having him on July 26th, like we said, and we'll see what happens then. But Jacob, as we are wrapping up, because I try to keep these around 45 minutes, I just want to give you the floor and just whatever your heart's desire, you may speak your mind and close out shop.
All right, couple points. One, I keep like delaying this one, but people should know that Tennessee has not had ranked choice voting, but they signed a law outlawing ranked choice voting. So even if we got independents on the ballot and we were like, okay, we want to do ranked choice, they've already outlawed it. They haven't outlawed approval voting. That could be an option. And I would love to appear again on Talk the Plank, either tomorrow or whenever. Like I said, the kids are crazy, but if I go out here to the car, seems like I'm pretty safe. And we didn't get into copyright and patent law because I want my viewers, normal people, just like people that don't follow this kind of stuff, they need to know why they need to care about why this law lasts 70 years after the death of the creator. I mean, 70 years? Your kids and grandkids need to profit off the story that you wrote for 70 years. I know a lot of people have a baseline familiarity. They might have heard the story where it was like Steamboat Mickey is now in the public sphere, but like other versions of Mickey aren't. So yeah, I definitely want to get into that. Get further into the Patriot Act. A lot of people say abolish ICE. Well, I feel like I don't know if I feel. I think if you abolish the Patriot Act, you also abolish ICE. If I'm not wrong, it might take more than that. I don't know.
That would be
I
a
can't
nice
say for
two bird, one stone deal. I'll tell you that much. And I happen to agree with you, Jacob. I do think that there was much left on the table, so we're going to have to return to the table and clean it off and let the viewers at home see what we brought to the table. So we will stay in contact. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or if it'll be next weekend, whatever works best for the both of us. But I think tomorrow I can perhaps make that happen. Let's open up we'll open up the schedule book and see what we can work with.
All right.
And we'll get going on that in just a moment. But folks, thank you so much for joining us on Talk the Plank. Thank you, Jacob, for joining us today as today's guest. And well, you know what? For shits and gigs, I'm going to change the title to Part One.
Oh yeah.
So we're just gonna call that for sure thing. We're gonna say that you will be back. So, folks, thank you for tuning in to part one of our series with Jacob Anders, candidate for Tennessee's. I believe it's is the 4th congressional district of Tennessee.
Yes, the 4th congressional district, and big shout out to my wife for keeping the kids occupied. I took them on a drive earlier, tried to get them to sleep. Didn't work, so she's handling them alone. I'm about to head back in there.
Well, bless her for doing the Lord's work, and bless you for coming aboard. So Jacob, thank you again so much. Thank you, folks, for tuning in tonight. This has been Talk the Plank, and as always, vote